Loves. You have now tuned into my Mobwives Season 5, Episode 4 recap. Guys, be sure to subscribe if you have not yet done so to this brand new channel. Woo! Also, be sure to share this video wherever you like to share videos. And give it that good old thumbs up, okay? So now let's get into this recap. So we left off with Renee Graziano. She was meeting up with Big Ange. And then she sees somebody walking in, and she's just like, who's this woman? So, of course, it's Victoria Gotti, who Big Ange was talking to not too long ago. But the thing about it is that Big Ange kind of brought her in to be like a mediator. But most of the things that Renee was saying made a lot of sense. So Victoria Gotti was actually agreeing with Renee, which worked out. So it made Renee not hate the fact that she was there, because like she's like, oh snap, like this is working out for me. You know, it's kind of backfiring on Big Ange. Score for me. She was saying things like, would you allow an outsider to influence you? And Victoria was like, no, not at all. You know, I don't even let outsiders in. That's not something that I do. They wouldn't be able to influence me because they don't even, no, you're invisible. You can't come in. So, you know, it kind of gave, I guess, Big Ange another perspective on a lot of Renee's thoughts and things that she was saying, and the reason that the fact that she didn't call her a clown, but her actions were clown-like, those types of things. So Renee, she felt odd about the whole meeting because there's a bad history with Karen, who's Renee's close friend, especially now since everybody else done turned on her, and Victoria Gotti. They have that whole history where their fathers had beef. One snitched on the other. Karen's father snitched, and her father, I guess, ended up dying in jail or something along those lines. And so, you know, it's a crazy situation, and Renee, when she ended up talking to Karen about it and letting her know that she was there, she started crying, and I'm like, Renee, do you have to be so freaking dramatic? I mean, dang. She's a really good friend. And another thing that when they was in the meeting that Renee said, that Big Ange said that totally had me rolling, was that she said that Renee thinks that they're gangsters, and they're not gangsters, they're girls. And I'm like, you know, that is true. Like, she's like real, like, heavy in this whole mob lifestyle. Like, she lives by it. She lives by the codes and the rules and regulations. Like, I think if she didn't have that, she wouldn't be able to live, you know? It's like what gives her reason to breathe is this whole mob mentality. So Natalie, she's getting an apartment with Leo. I think his name is Leo, right? Her boyfriend. And it was a really nice apartment. It had like 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, which is pretty cool. It had a nice view. It was out on 51st Street from the sign that I saw. And I'm like, you know, that's a pretty penny, because anything in Lower Manhattan is going to be expensive. Like, the rent is going to be ridiculous. And plus with the view, you know it has to be ridiculous. So I'm like, for that, she could have just bought a house. I guess maybe she didn't want to have that commitment since she's still commuting back and forth from Philly to here. And maybe she don't really know if she really want to be with this man. So that's probably another reason why it was like, okay, as opposed to getting a house, which is so, like, it's much more permanent, you know? Let's rent an apartment, a really nice apartment that is kind of up to her standards, but not really, because it doesn't have enough space that she really wants. And Drita came over, and Drita was like, you know, she totally commends her for being able to do that, especially when they're both having their issues. You know, like, you're having problems and you're going to move in with the person that you're having issues with. It's a little odd. So, the ladies, the 4 of them, Drita, Karen, Renee, and Big Ange, they meet up, and things are much more relaxed, and they're almost back to being friends. Almost, but we're not going to say they are. Renee brings up the whole Natalie, and no one really wants to talk about it, but Karen kind of sticks by her, and she's kind of trying to say, you know, don't fully dismiss her and things that she's saying. But, you know, they try to keep up the negativity so that they don't argue about the situation, argue about Natalie and how she is. So they're at this show. They watch the show. They all have a good time. So that was nice to see all of them finally like together again. You know, the Fab Four, the I don't know what I was gonna say. I was trying to make up some corny line that sounds pretty cool, but it just wasn't working. Alright, so Drita, she's doing makeup for a photo shoot, and the second person that she does the makeup for, the second model, is another person named Natalie, who lives in Philly. How freaking odd is that, right? I'm like, we know she's about to be on the show a little bit, because I've seen that she was I think she's actually going to be part of the show, so it's like, they make up these, I don't know, I just feel like this meetup was like super fake. Like, you know that she's going to be on the show for the most part. You didn't just like, oh, wow, like, you know, I met you now, let's put you on the show. I don't know. It didn't seem authentic to me. But anyways, she tells Drita that she heard of Natalie because Natalie, Drita mentions that there's a Natalie that's from Philly that's part of their circle or whatever. And she's like, she says her last name and she's like, oh, be careful, you know, watch your back. And she's like, why? Like, you know, she's doing the makeup for the girl, and she's like, you know, spill the tea, girl. Let me know what's up. What you trying to say, but not really saying it. So she says that Natalie, she had a boyfriend who went to jail. He came out, and he did something, and she called the parole. And for them, you know, like, calling cops, calling parole, and stuff like that is, like, really serious. It's like punching somebody in the face, stabbing them in the back, rolling them over with your car, and then spitting on them all in the same day. So, it just, Drita was just like appalled. She was just like, what? Like, she was like, yo, I don't care what he does to you. You are not supposed to call people's parole. That's crazy. And I'm like, this man could have been beating her down to the ground. He could have been smoking crack in her apartment with her kids there. And you talk about she not supposed to call parole. I mean, there's two sides to every story. You don't really know what the story is. But I guess to them, it's just like, well, to Drita, it's just like, what? You know? I guess when you had somebody that's in the system that's close to you, that's more of a reason to, like, hate those types of things as well. So that kind of was just like an eye-opener for her, where she's just like, nah, like, somebody else is saying this, like, outside of Renee and Karen, because she knows that they hate her. But it's like, this is a whole different person, like a stranger telling her these types of things. So now she's starting to believe it. Like, I definitely got to watch out. I'm going to talk to her and find out what's going on. And I'm like, what you going to ask her? Like, most people, you ask them something, they going to have some type of excuse. They're going to have some type of something. And, oh yeah, another thing that what's her name, Miss Natalie said that was kind of like, girl, please, where have you been? She was like, oh, when she was talking to Leo, she was just saying, oh, you know, I'm a little worried because I'm from Philly and I say what I want to say and I'm very blunt and stuff like that. But New Yorkers aren't like that. I'm like, girl, New Yorkers aren't like that. Okay, what part of New York you been in? Maybe you've been in Manhattan, you know, where people are really nice, but you come to the hood with all that craziness, you will get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Don't come to the Bronx, Brooklyn. I think Queens is pretty crazy as well. Don't come to those places with your little attitude and your little, oh, I'm going to say whatever I want to say type of attitude, because that's when the hands will start clapping and the necks will start shaking and you just get, you know, one of those real quick. Come on. Anyways, so back to Drita. Drita later on, she talks to the ladies about all the information that she's learned. And Renee just had that look on her face like, you know, one of those like, yeah, I told you so. Okay? And Karen's just like, you know, I'm not going to say I told you so, but, you know, now you're finally seeing what we've been telling you. And Renee's like, well, I'm going to say I told you so. And I am offended that you're taking somebody else's side, a perfect stranger, as opposed to taking my side when I told you this several times on different occasions. It's messed up. Perfectly agree. I mean, I definitely agree with her because she knew them for 20 something odd years. And for you to meet somebody on the street and then just say, okay, this is the person I'm going to listen to. I guess because this is a neutral party and she doesn't have like any ties or any loyalty or anything like that to connect it to them. Maybe perhaps that's the reason why she took this new Natalie side and she listened to this new Natalie as opposed to listen to her friends. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was kind of messed up that she did that. But, you know, eyes are opening, and, yeah, I think the thing's about to get crazy. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see, like, a match. Well, not necessarily fighting. They don't have to fight, but, like, you know, going head-to-head between Drita and Natalie. Since Natalie thinks she's so big and bad, I would love to see them go back and forth. And see how that handles out. And see, you know, if she still has such a big old mouth. Because Drita, she's pretty crazy. You know, she be blacking out. She don't be thinking too well and stuff like that. So, yeah, that would be crazy. But that's pretty much it. Those are the things that pretty much happened during this episode. It was pretty quick. Thanks for watching. Stay fabulous, live free, and soar limitless. I'll see you in the next one. Laters.